Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, we'll be discussing the 1999 science fiction comedy adventure film Galaxy Quest, starring Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, and Alan Rickman. Of course, this film is kind of like pokes fun of science fiction and shows like this. Well, basically, the basic plot is Tim Allen plays, along with Sigourney Weaver and Alan Rickman. They played stars characters on a science fiction television show called Galaxy Quest. It was the actual name of the show they were on, and they were aired during like the late '70s, early '80s. And they reunited at a Galaxy Quest convention, kind of like a spoof or take of the Star Trek conventions, which of course was very popular then. I don't know if they still have Star Trek conventions now, but in the '70s and the '80s, even throughout the '90s, Star Trek conventions were very, very popular for people to attend. And of course, Tim Allen, of course, is like the William Shatner of this movie, where people who was he was a star of the show, was a captain of the ship, and stuff like that. Even though he didn't go by the name captain, he was called commander instead of captain. But the entire cast, like in Star Trek, hey William Shatner, and in Galaxy Quest, they're all hey Tim Allen, because he took lines away from, he did some of the stuff that William Shatner had been accused of doing when doing the original Star Trek television series, where he says, "Oh, this one doesn't need to say this one doesn't say that." Well, Tim Allen's character did the same thing on Galaxy Quest. So they all hated him. He thought that all the fans were a bunch of nuts. Kind of like the famous Saturday Night Live sketch when William Shatner was hosting Saturday Night Live, and they did a sketch of a Star Trek convention where William Shatner says, kind of a joke line, "All your fans should get a life." That's pretty much what Tim Allen pretty much tells the fans, but Alan Rickman's character just hated the character, hated the show Galaxy Quest, because he always gets quoted as saying this one particular line, which the line escapes me right now, but he always says the line just about every episode. It's kind of like the line with Dr. McCoy, where he says, "He's dead, Jim. He's dead. They're dead. She's dead. They're dead. We're dying. The captain is dead." He does that bit. Alan Rickman's character has a similar line, and he says in almost every episode, just about every episode of the series. Well, anyway, during this one particular convention, was a bunch of actual aliens come down to Earth, and they try and convince Tim Allen to help them out, because these group of aliens actually believe that Galaxy Quest was actually real and not a fictional show. They thought that what was happening on this thing was actually, I don't know how in the world they actually believe that a science fiction television show was actually real. I mean, it's kind of like with science fiction fans now, or Star Wars fans, or Star Trek fans, no matter which. I haven't like both series, but it's like because they couldn't separate reality from fiction, and the same thing with the aliens. They couldn't separate fantasy from fiction, and believe the Galaxy Quest was real, and ask the actual crew to help them out fight this tyrannical alien. And Tim Allen at first helps him out, and then that didn't go over too well, and so Tim Allen recruits the rest of the cast to help him out, or to help these aliens out. Which, of course, through the course of the movie, they eventually, major spoiler for those of you who didn't see this film, they do help him out, and they do end up saving the day at the end and saving these aliens, and destroying or killing off the bad guy. And the thing that in this movie, one major criticism is that this movie didn't really develop the villain properly. And it was a good premise. I mean, the movie was a good premise, but you didn't really develop the villain that well. And I should also mention that during the course of the movie, Tim Allen is trying to convince not only Tim Allen but the rest of the cast is trying to convince the aliens that what they did was a fictional television show, not a historical. They call the episodes historical documents. And Tim Allen was trying to convince them, look, this is not historical documents. It was made up. It's fictional. And they couldn't understand what fiction was. These aliens. And then the villain says, what are you talking about? I mean, they recruit you. They made you the commander of the ship. And you're not really a commander? I said, no, I'm an actor. So the villain actually believed what they were saying. And they proved that this was a fictional television show. And that's something to base your whole life around. But what the aliens did was they built an actual ship that was based on the ship that was in the television show, and a fully working share with the they didn't call it a warp drive, but like in Star Trek, they call it something else, like a sphere thing that makes, it's like the Nathan Orchestra is like this sphere thing that controls the ship. And eventually, of course, the aliens do actually finally believe that it was fictional, but they were still kind of convinced that they were disappointed when they found out that they were like entertainers and not an actual spaceship crew. They eventually did believe it, but they also did believe that they could help them. And of course, like I said earlier, they actually did help them. And I thought it was a good, premise at first, but I thought it was an entertaining film, not the greatest film, but at least it's entertaining enough to watch. Of course, Sigourney Weaver was in, and even though I think she was about 50 at the time when this movie came out, and she was like smoking, she was like the Erin Gray of this movie. I mean, she was hot. I mean, she had like a tight suit on, and at one point her bra is exposed, and you see a little tummy there exposed, and she showed more skin than Erin Gray ever did in Buck Rogers. Not to knock Erin Gray or Buck Rogers, but she showed more skin than Erin Gray did, and of course Sigourney Weaver was smoking hot in this movie, and she was like I said, she was like the Erin Gray of this movie. Sigourney Weaver was. And I thought she was good. I thought Tim Allen was good. I didn't think that Alan Rickman was entirely comfortable with the materials, even though it was a comedy. There's a chance to actually see Alan Rickman actually do a comedy, or a science fiction comedy. Because actually he usually plays a villain, like a Die Hard. He plays a good villain. But to play a comic foil or a straight man in this film, I mean, he didn't. I mean, he tried to make it work, but he didn't quite believe Alan Rickman in comedy. But the movie itself was, I mean, it was good for what it was entertaining for what it was, and I did like the premise. So I do recommend this movie, especially those of you who happen to be Alan Rickman, Sigourney Weaver, and Tim Allen fans like I am. So that's my review of the movie Galaxy Quest. Please click on the video, please rate it. Please subscribe to my channel, please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews and all on my YouTube channel by RallyC.com. It's all WDY. C.com. There's a homepage of Reality Reviewer, Christy Moore. Please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.